Hi, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Irish Tennis Updates podcast. Thanks very much for tuning in again. My name's Adam. I'm your host. Today I'm talking to the current Irish number one on the men's side with a career high singles ranking of 512, winner of one pro singles title, currently aged just 20, Simon Carr. This is a great chat with Simon. We talk about the lockdown and return to tennis, Simon's successful junior career, winning his first pro title last year, playing Davis Cup, his ambitions for the future, and much more as well. I really hope you'll enjoy this episode. So here we go. Simon, if you could have any superpower, what would you choose and why?
Probably either invisibility or teleportation, just for the convenience of when you're in a situation that you don't like to be and you can just kind of get out of it, So probably either one of those two. They're pretty similar, I think.
Yeah. So just going back, taking it. So how are you getting on? Like, how has lockdown been the last few weeks?
It's been good. I know I've speaking to a lot of the other guys. It feels like it's just like a timeout break in their tennis careers and lives, that you never really get an opportunity like this ever again, because it's already been 2 months and God knows how much longer it's going to be.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to, obviously I've gone through some pretty tough times in this, wondering when we're going to play again, all that sort of thing. But the best thing I think you can do is to not really think about that. And I've been working a lot physically, because at the start of the year I had a few problems physically. I didn't feel like I was fit enough. So I really found it a good opportunity to work on that. And if I could really improve one thing at the end of the lockdown, it would be to be a better athlete in general, and just to be hungrier coming back, because as I said before, we're never going to have, no tennis player is ever going to have a time like this in their lives to work on the stuff that they can work on,
Yeah, no, I was going to ask you about how you were keeping kind of fit and active. So it's good that you've been, obviously keeping it, and even, it's not even just keeping it, you've been almost improving it. It sounds like, bringing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. My dad's my physical trainer. So
yeah,
I'm really lucky that way. Like, I wake up in the morning and I have a canal up the road. I have the greenway I can run on. My garden's big enough to do some movement and stuff, and I have a gym in the garage. So basically, to work on stuff physically, I have a tennis court up the road as well I've been using. So to work on physical, it's I couldn't actually ask for any more. I know so many players are in a lot worse positions than I am, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, I just want to ask, because I know you were playing an event in South Africa the week that everything was called off. So
yeah,
I'm interested, how was that week? The experience. I'm sure that's obviously something you've never experienced before.
Yeah,
it was being cancelled, but how was
absolutely.
it for you?
Yeah, it was really strange. I mean, I was in Dubai actually the 2 weeks beforehand, and that's when it kind of started to kind of pick up steam a little bit. And honestly, before I went to Dubai, I didn't really hear about it, to be honest. And then I was saying this to someone, and then 2 weeks later, the whole world is shut down. Yeah. So it just shows really how quickly that it kind of turned like that. When I was obviously I played 2 weeks in South Africa, and it was during the second week, and I was out of the tournament, singles and doubles, but I was possibly going to fly to Portugal after that. So I was really staying around to kind of see, because obviously you're getting wind of, they're going to cancel this, they're going to cancel that, and tournaments were changing venues, trying to stay on to the last minute, and I was kind of playing a waiting game. And then it was the Wednesday or Thursday, I think. Was it Thursday?
Yeah, it was something. Yeah,
something like midweek. Yeah. And I was about to book a flight to Portugal, and then we got wind from the ATP supervisor that all the tours were going to be cancelled and stuff. So I just got on a flight home as soon as I could, and yeah, it was surreal. It was something I've never, obviously anyone else has never experienced. Yeah. So yeah, it was a strange one.
Yeah, and then obviously you mentioned you're getting back to a little bit of tennis now this week. But I mean, how do you feel about a return to some pro tennis? Are you thinking 2020, or realistically you're looking into next year?
It's so difficult to tell, and obviously, as I said before, it's the more you think about it, the more your kind of head spins, and you're kind of going, oh, well, this has to go right, and this has to go right, and all that sort of stuff. And like, I'm thinking best case scenario, September, October for professional tennis. That's obviously fingers crossed. Hopefully that happens.
Yeah.
But realistically speaking, I'd be surprised if it was before. I mean, if it's clear by November, December, they're not going to say we'll wait till 21. They're going to try to put events on as soon as possible, because they've lost so much revenue from tournaments and all of that sort of stuff. And so I think realistically it'll be 2021. I'd be the worst case scenario is that something like the Australian Open doesn't happen, and that would be a massive blow for everyone involved, like tennis wise, sport wise, and just it carrying into another year. I think we'd all sign up now for a fresh start in 2021, to be honest, if we're being real, so but the thing about it is the ATP aren't gonna, or the ATP, all the tours and the governing bodies of tennis, they're not going to make a call 4 or 5 months in advance. They're going to keep playing a waiting game, which is difficult, because if they're to say tomorrow that 2021 is going to start fresh, then you can kind of do something, you can start doing some coaching, you can maybe get a job somewhere, do something like that. But the fact that you're really always playing a waiting game for, it could be 6 weeks to 8 weeks in advance, then you could start being a professional tennis player again. So it's not really that much time to do anything else, so that's the tough part of it. And you're just trying to keep working on the things you can day in, day out, and see what happens.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that does add a lot of difficulty to it. I just, within tennis, there's been a lot of talk of the player relief fund and all the financial help. So I mean, just as a player in a position that the talks would have included you based on your ranking. So just have you? Well, what kind of stuff have you heard, or what kind of?
I saw the stuff originally that obviously I think it was Djokovic, Nadal, and Federer put out. I think that's what it was, and that was going to be from 250 to 750, right?
I think
something along those numbers. Yeah, but I subsequently haven't heard much from it. I think it's pretty much on ice. Obviously, if it does end up being the 700, 750 mark, I'm going to be in it, because I'm 500, which is good. And obviously, with every situation like this, I've seen a lot of stuff, guys who are 700, 800, who aren't very happy about it on Facebook, and they're totally entitled to be, because in every situation, someone's going to get shafted. The number, if it's 700, number 701 is going to be the most annoying guy in the world. But like, there has to be someone. I don't mean it to sound bad. And if it was, I'm 5'20", 30 something, 31, and if it's 5'30", I'll be shafted, and obviously it'll suck. But there has to be one group of players that are going to feel like they've been hard done by. So I think it's a great idea. It really shows, to be fair, that Djokovic and those guys really care. I know Djokovic has a brother who played, and he was part of a bracket of the lower ranked guys. So obviously he kind of has the experience from his brother playing. But it's good to know that they actually care. You feel like they're in their own little world sometimes, but a lot of the vast majority of professional tennis players are in the lower ranked categories, because there's only one top 100. So it's good. It's good to know that they're thinking about it, and there's stuff going on in the background. Hopefully it'll come through pretty soon.
I just want to go back earlier on in kind of tennis for you. So just to take it back to the very beginning, where did tennis start for you?
I started when I was 9 in Mullingar. Started pretty locally, just doing the Kit Kat tennis and stuff. I think it was either Kit Kat or Shreddies at the time. I just really enjoyed it when I was younger. I'm a really competitive guy, so in everything I kind of want to win and stuff, and I enjoy the individual aspect. Obviously, now the individual aspect can come across tough, but I still enjoy it. Traveling on your own and stuff is obviously very difficult. I didn't had I known that when I was 9, I probably would have thought a little bit more about it, to be honest. But no, I enjoy the individual aspect. Obviously, when you're younger, you're playing in groups and stuff, and you're in squads, and growing up playing in the Leinster squads and national squads and stuff like that. And I just always enjoyed it, because there was, as I said before, there was always a group of us in Mullingar under a good coach who kind of got a lot of enthusiasm involved and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed playing the Irish tournaments around, like Templeogue and Malahide and stuff like that. Pretty normal kind of route for an Irish tennis player, and I really started to take it a lot more seriously as after my junior cert, I did TY, and I haven't been back in school since, but I'm doing doing some college courses in UCD and stuff, which would kind of keep me going. That I've been enjoying, and yeah, that's kind of how my route's been so far.
Yeah. So as you then were taking it a bit more seriously, how often did you train, and kind of who were you training with at that time?
I started taking the hours up gradually, but the biggest change for me was after my junior cert, was when I went into TY and took the year out to play tennis.
Yeah.
And I was training every day up in DCU. Luckily for me, Sam Barry was there at the time.
Okay.
And it was unbelievable for me to hit with Sam. He was, I'm going to say, he was top 300 at the time, so that was an unbelievable experience. And Sam is always really good to me. He's still really good to all of us. He with advices and stuff like that, and lessons learned and stuff like that. And when I was there was a decent group of us who were doing full time, and full time was 3 to 4 hours a day, and an hour of physical. It's kind of what I'm still doing to this day, So, I just gradually, as I kept getting older and older, you get the hours you take up, and obviously, if you're playing sports when you're younger, you're not gonna be able to keep it going physically the older you get. I think it's great to play all sports when you're younger, but there comes a stage in every player's career where they kind of have to make a decision, time-wise and physicality-wise, that they can only play one sport.
Yeah, no. At that time, did you have an idol or a kind of a favorite player you looked up to?
Yeah, I always looked up to all the Irish guys: Sam, Conor Nyland, Luke Sorensen, McGee, the doubles guys as well, O'Hare and Clusky. They were always around, and I really looked up to those guys because I always got to practice with them. They're always very nice to me. Obviously the obvious ones: Nadal, Federer, Djokovic. They're all obviously the greatest of all time, and obviously you're stuck to the TV screen when you're younger, watching those three guys predominantly. So those, but Nadal was probably my favorite out of all of them. I really kind of tried to model my game off him when I was a lot younger, which obviously wasn't difficult playing on AstroTurf courts. But I lost a few matches because of that. But those three guys and all the Irish guys were kind of my idols growing up.
Yeah. So obviously, then after the junior cert, you said you started to take it a bit more seriously, and you had obviously a really really impressive junior career. Got up to 42 in the world titles, which is really really impressive. But did you have a best moment of kind of junior career that you look back on?
Best moment, there's a few. Obviously, I'll always say juniors were some of the best years of my life. My life. There's so many. You're seeing the same people every week. Like some of my best friends are from juniors, and just the social aspect of juniors was just like totally different to what it is on the tour.
Okay.
Which took a bit of getting used to at the start, but it's they both have their pros and cons. My favorite, my best junior memory would have been either the last 16 at the US Open, where I made a bit of a run and nearly made quarters and lost a tough 3-set match, and the other one would have been my final in the Grade 1 in Spain, where I lost to Davidovich, who's, I think he's 80 something now.
Yeah,
he's 80 something. I was a set and a break up in the third. I had a good chance to win that one, but that was an unbelievable week. I played a lot of good matches. I beat a lot of players who are now pretty high, who are 200, 300 in the world, and it was. My last year of juniors was obviously my best year, and it was the year I enjoyed most because I was winning the most,
Yeah. So then obviously you were going through the juniors, and then at what point did you decide to go pro, and not take the college route and take the going pro straight away? So at what point did you make that decision, and what were the main kind of reasons for that decision?
Yeah, I'd probably made the decision when I started to travel for 20 plus weeks a year, playing juniors, because I always kind of mix the juniors and futures, which has really stood to me now, because the earlier you start the futures, it's so difficult to get through them because there's so many good tennis players. I started to think about it, obviously, when I was 14, 15, when I took the year out of school, and then as soon as I didn't go back to school in fifth year, the decision was kind of made, because I didn't have any formal education, which obviously I've subsequently started doing in UCD, which has been great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think after I finished my TY year out, I was kind of like, this is what I want to do, and this is where I'm going to go.
How easy or hard did you find that transition when you started playing more and more futures and obviously finished up in juniors? So how were those initial months and couple of years transition wise for you?
Yeah, it was really tough. Actually, I struggled, obviously, because I was playing the two of them at the same time for a while in the juniors and futures. I was kind of had no pressure when I went to play futures.
Yeah.
But then when I didn't have a junior tournament to go to after a futures, say, it was kind of like, oh wow, this is totally different, because now it's me traveling every week, playing against guys who are 25, 30 years old, and there's no real social aspect to it. And that was something I struggled with a little bit at the start. I had a decent year futures wise in my last year of juniors as well. I made semis of the Irish Open and had a decent ranking. But the year after, I think if you look back at my results, was probably one of the years I struggled most with in my career, because I was losing a lot of first rounds in futures. It's such a tough transition, because when you're not seeded in these futures, you can draw guys who are 400 or 500 in first round every week. It's so tough, because everyone, even if they're not 400 or 500, 300, 400, 500, there's so many good players in futures, and some people don't even realize that there's so much depth in men's tennis. And that was something I really struggled with. This kind of, you're looking at this guy who's maybe ranked 1200 and you're feeling like you should win, but he can play some unbelievable tennis, and he does it. He beats you in a third set tiebreak, and you're out first round, and you're in the middle of nowhere in Portugal. And it's just tough. I mean, it's tough to deal with that every week, and it can really snowball, and you can get on a run of defeats and stuff, which really eat away at you. But you got to remember that everyone goes through results periods like that, and you just got to try and keep going and find a patch.
So I guess 2019, is kind of when you had a bit of a breakthrough and had I guess your best year to date. But at the start of the year, before I get into kind of how the year was for you, at the start of the year, the ITF brought in their transition tour and the kind of the slightly different ranking systems.
Yeah.
So I just how big an effect did that have on you? Did it was it really important? I know there was a lot of criticism in the media, but how much did it actually affect you as a player?
Yeah, well, I can't really say it affected. Like, if anything, it actually helped me a little bit, because at the start of the year, obviously they made that change, and players were trying to play 25s and challengers to get these ATP points.
Yeah.
But obviously my ranking wasn't good enough to get me into that many 25s or challengers, so I was playing the 15s. I obviously won my first title in Portugal in Tunisia when they were ITF points, so that I still didn't have an ATP ranking, but I had a pretty good ITF ranking. So then when they changed that, I was actually in Uganda at the time, which I'd come off a final, a semi. So when they changed that, I was obviously in a really good spot, because I'd gained these ITF points that were going to convert now into ATP points. So obviously that was huge, and it really, actually, if anything, it kind of benefited me, and I was one of the lucky ones that it helped. I know there was a lot of guys who had one or two ATP points and felt like they should have played challengers or 25Ks to be able to expand on them, but the level of those tournaments are so good that it's so difficult to do.
That's very interesting that it almost had, it benefited you. But so obviously 2019 was that year that you won the title, as you mentioned. So I just so that week in Tunisia when you won the title, I remember, like each day I'd check like I went to school, I'd know, okay, he's playing at like 12 or something. Yeah. So when I finish school, I'll check it on my phone, But then, like each day, like you were playing, like it was a lot of seeds and a lot of kind of deciding set matches. But it seemed like, you just came through them all. You were just obviously, like it was almost like you were just, that week you were kind of invincible. So like, how was that week? Just talk me through a bit, just like how it felt.
It was an unbelievable week. I was there with a couple of my friends, two French guys that were obviously also playing the tournament. And the matches, I actually carried a bit of an injury into the first round match, and I was a little bit iffy whether I was going to play or not, but I played an unbelievable match and kind of came through pretty quickly. Second round was probably the best match. It was 6 in the third. First game, I was cramping the whole third set. The first game, or the first point of the tiebreak in the third, we played this massive long point, and I ran up for the ball, and I was running. As I kept taking another step, I could feel my muscles just getting worse and worse. So I was nearly at the ball, and I literally just fell on the ground because I couldn't move my legs anymore. So I stayed on the ground there for about 5 minutes while the cramps went. Your man thought I was going to retire, so obviously he was obviously not in a bad spot. But I got up then and won the next 7 points in a row. I think I hit about 6 forehand winners because I was just like, I can't move, so I'm just going to try and tee off a little bit. And then again in the next round against the 3 seed, French guy, I was also cramping in the third set. And then the next day, the same thing. I didn't cramp, but it was a really long match. And then the final, I just played a pretty, really solid match against a guy who was, I think he was 100 in the world, Lindell. He played Song at the French Open and stuff. And it was weird. All week was, as you said, I actually kind of nearly felt invincible because after every match, I was just thinking so positively. And obviously it's easy to think positive when you're winning. But I was just thinking like, I'm not going to lose this week. I'm going to win the tournament. After every match, I called either my coach or my parents. I was like, yeah, I'm going to win the tournament. And that's obviously some place that I haven't been able to get back to since, because I haven't won a tournament since. But that week was incredible, and it's just crazy how good I felt the whole week.
So how was that winning feeling then when you did win the final? I know the final wasn't it might not have been the tightest match of the week, but how was that feeling when you did clinch the title?
It was incredible, because obviously it was my first final as well. It was actually my 4th or 5th semi-final only, and it was the first time I'd been in a final, and I was playing obviously Lindell, who was pretty high in the world, and it was a strange one, because the match, we were both kind of a little bit tight, but I was more solid, so I was kind of winning. And it's so difficult to put out of your mind that it's a final, and that it's your first final. It'll be your first title. But the winning feeling, I got a little bit tight towards the end, but it was good. I mean, I rang home straight afterwards, and everyone was pretty happy. But I actually had to go on for the doubles final like 15 minutes later. Because they actually canceled the doubles the day before because of rain or something, and I actually had to go on to the doubles court 15 minutes later, so I didn't have much time to celebrate.
And you won that doubles final as well, did you?
No, we didn't. We lost to the guy I beat in the singles in the semis.
Okay, so a bit of revenge, maybe.
A bit of revenge for them. I didn't really mind too much.
Yeah, you're happy with your week already. No, that's incredible. So just then, another question. I know you've played in Dubai a couple of times now in the ATP event. So I'm just interested, how was that experience? First of all, from the matches point of view, like level wise. And I know obviously the guys you were playing would have been, considerably higher up in the ranks. But how did you feel the matches went level wise? Yeah,
I mean, it was a bit surreal the first time, because I only found out I played on the Saturday. I only found out I got the wild card on the Thursday. I was up on the way up to DCU, and we didn't hear anything back. We'd emailed them and stuff like that, and we ended up calling them on the Thursday just to kind of put an end to it and just be like, look, obviously I haven't got the wild card. So then we rang and they said, look, you do have the wild card. So we booked a flight to Dubai straight away. I was on the way up to training. I went straight to the airport, booked a flight straight away. It was a afternoon, evening flight, and we got there pretty late. And then I had only 1 day of preparation. And obviously the climate's totally different. Ireland in February was bloody freezing, and Dubai was like 30 degrees with humidity and stuff. So it was a bit of a change, and I felt a bit rushed in it. I played a decent match, but my opponent was more experienced and played a better match tonight. It was Mirza Basic from Bosnia, Herzegovina. And the second time this year was a lot better, because I found out a lot earlier that I had the wild card. So I went over on the Wednesday and got 2 good days practice in beforehand. But it was also strange, because I was due to play Kohlschreiber in the first round of qualifying, and I'd heard in the lobby of the hotel that there was people saying that there was an alternate in qualifying and that someone got into the main draw because of someone pulling out or whatever.
Yeah.
And I obviously didn't think too much of it because you don't really want to be thinking about who it is and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I got into the practice court to do my warm up, and someone came on and said, "You're not playing Kohlschreiber, you're playing Hanchman," which was tough because I had a full game plan mapped out for playing Kohlschreiber, and it totally changed 15 minutes before the match, which was very difficult. But it was also difficult for him because he was on alternate and he obviously arrived late and wasn't that acclimatized to the situation and stuff. Which showed at the start. I went up 3-love early. I had break points for 4-love, but he had a good serve and he clawed his way back. We played a tiebreak, played a good tiebreak, and go back to the physical problems I was telling you about at the start. I started to cramp a little bit in the second set, which is obviously not good enough to be cramping in the second set of a match like that. And it was disappointing to cramp in the second set, but it is what it is, and I definitely won't be happening again. That's for sure.
Yeah. Then in terms of the experience, like how was it just being in such a big event compared to the futures you'd be playing a lot of the time?
It was unbelievable. I mean, I got to practice with so many good players. You just get to see up close how they go about their business and stuff, and in reality, it's not that different. I mean, people see them on the television and stuff, and they think, oh, it's a different world. And I when I was younger, I obviously did as well. But then you go there and you practice with them, and it's the exact same. I mean, everything's a lot nicer. You're playing in a nice stadium and stuff, but like they go through the routines. They go to the gym in the morning. They've people with them, which you don't really have in futures. They go through the routines. They play the match, go back to the hotel. It's all the exact same.
Yeah.
It's just on a more exclusive and nicer level.
Yeah. So I just want to talk for a moment about Irish Open. So your experience playing in Ireland the last couple of years. So how have obviously having home support, and I guess there's probably bigger crowds would come some of the time than in a lot of the events you play. So how do you deal with the different atmosphere? How do you deal with that different atmosphere to usual?
Yeah, obviously it's totally different being able to play at home and have a decent sized crowd watching you play tennis, which you don't really get when you're outside the country. I've always really enjoyed playing the Irish Open, even if Astro doesn't really suit me that well. But I adapt for 1 week every year, so it's fine. The home support's really nice to have. My family and a couple of my friends always come and watch, and I enjoy it. I've made the semis twice, which when I was pretty young, when I was 17, and last year as well, where I lost to Seisling and played a few good matches to get there. So I've always really enjoyed it. It's a really good event.
I just want to mention briefly two matches from last year. So first that match with Peter. Obviously, there would have been a bit of conflict maybe in the crowd to two home players, but how was that match for you?
It was really good. Yeah, I think we both played a really good match, and it was played in a pretty good spirit as well. So I've there's no contentiousness over that. It was fun. The last game was pretty tight as well. So I really enjoyed it, and I think we both played a really good match, and actually a really good tournament from both of us up until then. And it was one break in the third set. It was obviously a really close match, and I thought personally we played really well, both of us.
Then into the semi-final, you played Seisling, whose career highs, I'm not sure exactly, but top 50 probably.
50 something.
Yeah. So how was that match? Having the home support, playing a player with full experience. I know it was quite close. It was a three-setter as well. So do you have many memories from that match?
Yeah, like I actually, it was quite different feeling than walking out the day before against Peter, because obviously the crowd's totally. There's only one Irish player involved, so the crowd's totally on your side, and it was a good match. I've played a few guys who are pretty highly ranked before in their careers. I think Seisling is probably the highest one that I've played, but Yeah, he'd a tricky game style to play against, especially on the AstroTurf.
Yeah.
He's a good serve. He is an unbelievable slice backhand, and he takes the forehand really early. So it was a tough match, but I played it. I thought I played a really good match as well. I struggled a little bit physically the whole week with my hip. I had a bit of a problem with my hip the whole week, and I played 3 sets the first round against Sam Bothwell. I played 3 sets the second round against Scott Duncan, and then 3 against Peter. And then it was difficult after going down that break, and kind of the adrenaline from the crowd kind of taking you through the second set, and it was 7-5. I kind of nicked it off him with a few close calls from the umpire. But no, yeah, once I went down a break in that third set, it was difficult physically to kind of get myself back into that match, and he did a good job of closing it out.
Yeah, I just want to go on to Davis Cup for a couple of moments. You've played a few times for Ireland, so how much of a target was that for you, kind of growing up? You know, Davis Cup as a big goal, or how was that for you?
Yeah, it's always been a really big goal for me. I remember when I was a lot younger. I think I was just started playing tennis. I went to watch Ireland play Tunisia in Riverview.
Yeah.
And they actually won that in the 5th rubber. I think Barry King won the 5th rubber against the Tunisian guy, and Nyland was playing as well. It was obviously when Nyland was playing slams and stuff, so it's like it was unbelievable for me to be able to watch those guys. And yeah, I think Davis Cup is it's probably my favorite week of the year, to be honest. I love being in the team environment and around the lads and stuff, and it's always been a massive goal. But you kind of know that if you're focused on yourself personally and ranking wise, I mean, you're going to get onto the team, because the reality of it is we're not in a country that has 5 top 100 players, so you're going to be able to get on it pretty young if you have a decent junior career and a decent ranking. So yeah, it was obviously unbelievable to get my first cap, playing the ties and stuff. We didn't play the ties last year, but playing the ties against Denmark and Norway, and to be able to play as well was really good, and I thoroughly enjoyed the experiences.
I know then last year you were playing in the group stages, and you personally, but the team obviously did really well and ended up getting promoted. So how was that week, kind of as the week got on and you were doing well the whole way?
Yeah, that was an unbelievable week as well. Obviously the opposition isn't as tough as say someone like playing Casper Ruud or Freddie Nielsen from Denmark, and you're playing guys from lesser countries, but you still have to stay focused, because every spot in every match you play and every spot in the group stage counts, because obviously they ended up promoting us because we were second, but there was a chance we mightn't have been promoted. So it was a really good effort from all of us to stay focused the whole week, and to be able to get into a rhythm of actually playing a lot of matches, because I think I played 5 matches that week in a row, which was physically tough by the end. The last, obviously playing in the final, the last match is going to be the toughest one, because you're playing against a team like Cyprus, who are obviously very good and they have some good players. But it was a totally different experience to play in the ties, where the whole kind of week builds up to one match. But the group stages had more of a feel that it was kind of like a tournament, because you get into a rhythm of matches.
Let's have a few more questions for you. I really appreciate your time. Simon.
No problem.
Well, what's your favourite place you ever played tennis outside of Ireland, if we exclude the Irish Open?
Probably the junior tournament in Cap d'Ai, right beside Monaco.
Okay.
It's on the seaside in Monaco, which is really nice. Obviously, the 4 Grand Slams as well were top of the pile as well. But outside of those ones, I would say Cap in Nice.
And what's your favourite shot, or your best shot? Are they the same?
They want to be, wouldn't they? My forehand is my favorite shot. That's an easy one.
Okay. If you could start over just with tennis and taking it seriously, is there anything you'd do differently?
It's a good question. I'm still pretty young, but there are a few small little things that that I would change. I'd definitely try and compete a lot abroad and do some training blocks away with it. It's easy to say now, but the best training for young players and stuff is to play with players who are better than you and players who are kind of where you want to be. I think that's the only way you're going to be able to get there, because otherwise you're not going to be able to see it. I would have tried to incorporate that whether it be in Ireland, away in America, somewhere in Europe, that there's players who are a lot better than you and that you can spar with and practice with. Obviously with things like traveling with a coach and stuff, it's not always possible.
Yeah.
Financially and logistically, it's really difficult. So I wouldn't say that's something I'd change. I try to do as much as I can, but it's obviously it's a really difficult thing to do. And trying to set up a base where you can really dip in and out of a training base and stuff, it would be ideal. It's tough to find. It's a lot easier said than done, and it's really tough to find. But that would be a priority one for me going back.
Yeah. What do you think is the hardest thing for you about life on tour and just traveling all the time?
One of the hardest things would probably being away from family and friends.
Okay.
Right now, because we're in lockdown or whatever, it's a nice change to be able to get home, and personally I'm quite enjoying it, because I know that I'll never get to spend this amount of time at home with my family, and obviously not friends for the last few weeks, but hopefully in the next few weeks we go see our friends and stuff, and that's going to help. But that's probably one of the toughest things, and being alone, those two kind of combined.
I guess on the other side of it, what's your favorite thing about life on tour you might be missing now? I guess the flip side of it.
Yeah, probably the favorite things that I miss right now are I've some of my best friends who are on the tour, and obviously I don't get to see them that much, but when I do see them, it's great to see them. The food from different countries, I miss the food from different countries. Just going somewhere new and settling in is a good feeling. Like if you're going somewhere for 2-3 weeks and renting an apartment or something, you settle in, you kind of like you got a good feeling about it, because it's home for the next 2-3 weeks or whatever, however you're there. And that's always a nice feeling, and especially when you're with someone, if you're with a few other players, it really helps.
And what's your favorite thing about tennis?
Favorite thing about tennis is that's a good question, actually. It's another one I probably haven't thought that much about. The competitive aspect of it. I think it's just the fact that it's you against your opponent, no one else involved. It's just probably one of my favorite things about it. It's pretty simple. I'm sure a lot of other tennis players have said the same.
Yeah.
But that's probably one of my favorite things about it.
And then finally, whenever we do get back to pro tennis, what are your big goals, ambitions for, I guess, short term, but then so some longer term goals as well? What do you have in mind?
My short term, it's difficult to say, because it's difficult to know when we're going to be back. I'd like to push through a little bit in challengers. I'd like to have a deep run in a challenger soon from when we get back, if that makes sense. Hopefully if they freeze the rankings and stuff, I'll be able to get into some challengers, and hopefully I'll have a deep run in one of them. And just become an established kind of challenger player who can play some challenger or ATP qualifying and is playing challengers week in, week out. It's difficult to say, obviously, with the time. And long term would be top 50 in the world, playing Grand Slams in the second weeks of Grand Slams, and kind of competing in the later stages. Is probably the main goal, And I think it's an extremely long road, and it's extremely difficult, but I think that definitely it's accomplishable, and I wouldn't be doing this otherwise.
Yeah, so I think I'll leave it there, Simon. So thanks so much for your time, for talking. I want to wish you just the very best for whenever we get back, and for all those goals you mentioned.
Perfect.
Big thanks again to Simon for his time, and to everyone who has listened to this episode. We're currently 1 week into the return to tennis, and I know that I've really enjoyed getting back out on court. I hope you're all having a good time and following all the restrictions and staying safe while you play as well. If you enjoyed this episode, please like it, please like the video, subscribe, share it with anyone you think might also enjoy it. It really does help me spread the word, so thank you very much for that. Until next time, I've been Adam. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.